Okay, we should be live. Can't see the live button come up yet. Yeah, we should be live now. Anna, I think we're just
Okay, fab.
Just in case, because yes, we are. We're live in the group. I'm just going to add everyone in. Turn my volume down. Everyone. Anna. Okay, so good morning, ladies. Good morning, Anna.
Morning, great to be here.
So I was doing my podcasts every week right up until the summer holidays, and then I had a break. And I'm busy in launch mode at the moment, launching my 5-day free training for the ladies in the group. So I thought, what better way now to kick off my podcast again? And then I thought, I've been streaming in the group with my experts these last couple of weeks. Why not stream the Welcome Back podcast straight into the group? So
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. And I'm very grateful that you're spending your Sunday morning with us here today to kick it off. You have an amazing story, a touching story that I heard. I've heard it a few times, but I heard it again when you were on stage last Saturday.
Yeah.
And it really touched me. And I thought we have to share this with the ladies because I'm sure, because we've got almost 6,000 ladies in here, you're bound to resonate with some of them. So
yeah. And it's funny when I share my story, there's like more and more people that, like back then I always thought, God, I'm the only one. But actually there's a lot of people who've gone through similar things. So it may help a lot of people.
And then it might be people close to you that have gone through it or going through it, and you don't know because
exactly.
you don't talk about it when it's actually happened, do we?
No.
So without further ado, introduce yourself, fill us in on what happened to you before you were perimenopausal, and then what you had to deal with while your hormones were thing, and then lead into where you are now and how great you are now.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Well, great to be here and great to be back in the kind of like the Welcome Back podcast. Do you know what I mean? That's exciting. I'm actually in Spain at the moment in a retreat, and I found a little corner in the hotel because it's got a bit windy outside. So if you do hear, because as like what people in the hotel have walked past, it's got a bit of noisy because my AirPods were a bit muffly. So if you do hear a bit of background noise, that's why. Because I'm not in my normal office. But it's exciting to be here, and I share my story because I feel like all of that stuff that I went through has to be kind of worth something. You know what I mean? Like, as in, when you hear people talk about getting through pain and purpose, it's being a purpose. It feels to me that if I can share my story, it might just help even just like one person. It's not, I don't want people to feel sorry for me because you know what, as women, like, we don't want sympathy. I've been a kind of a strong person on this journey, but big welcome to me and great to be in here. But I am Anna Davidson, and people know me as the Amazon Queen because I focus a lot over the years of selling physical products, mainly on Amazon, but on the likes of Etsy and your own stores. And I've written quite a few books as well. I help people with books on Amazon as well. And so that's a little bit about me. But back in, I got married in 2006. So what are we now? 2025. It's like nearly 19 years ago now. I've got two boys. Jacob, who was born in 2007, who's coming up to being 18 now, in a few weeks' time, and then Ruben, who's 15. So I've got two teenagers at home. And it's been a real journey because I left my ex-husband in 2015. So actually this year, as I fastly approach 50, so I'm 50 at the end of this year in December, it's actually a decade. It feels quite surreal. It's a decade ago that I left him because I was coming up to my 40th.
That's a milestone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
feels like a parallel door moon, what do you call it, moment. Because I think a lot of women feel like this, like, I used to see people who maybe had domestic abuse and violence as, oh, it happens to them, like as though it's a certain type of person. But when you find yourself in the thrust of it, I was in denial, you
Yeah.
know. Um, because I think when you are in a relationship, that person is really special to you, isn't it? And obviously, as well, like marriage, I was in it for the long haul. So I think it's difficult going through a divorce anyway, because you feel a bit of a failure. But on top of that, it was like there was a real safety thing for me and my kids as well. And so I felt like if if someone had, if someone had, cancer or, a disease or something like that, you would support your husband, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I was like, he wasn't like this when we first got together, so I need to support him. So I was trying to take him to the doctors,
Right.
because
So,
I wanted to get him through this period of time. Do you know what I mean?
so
But then
you looked at it as he was ill, and that's why he was
yeah,
in the way he was acting.
because he was having these psychosis moments where he was literally having a mental breakdown.
Right.
But then I was the devil in those psychotic moments. So I was like, if he really does believe I am the devil, he's going to kill me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of strange things, like he was creating shrines in the house
Mhm.
and burning my clothes and burning all our photos. Just every day, I was like walking on eggshells of what I was going to come back to. And then some days he was completely fine and it was fine.
Was he
So
diagnosed with something?
say that again.
Was he actually diagnosed with a condition?
No, because when we went to the doctor was like, you do realise if I refer you to the mental health team, you won't be able to drive your car, your insurance will get affected. And he was like, no, I don't want this, don't want this. And I was just like, to the GP, do you realise how long it's taken me to get him here?
That
And I
was
was like,
very,
he strangled me. Yeah. And we've got to this point, and now I burst into tears. I was just like, now you've just collapsed everything, I
what
said, I don't care about his driving, I'm just like, do you know what I mean? It was just,
he
so
must have been so angry with the doctor.
I was. And his brother then also tried to take him to A&E and different things. But then we just kept going around in circles with it. So there was definitely something. The GP did say, I think this is related to stress. And he did get really stressed out. And then he'd have these moments. But still, it was just, yeah, just crazy. It wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like it all the time. I think domestic abuse is a bit like that, because you kind of get manipulated into staying, because it's not continuous 24/7. You
Yeah.
know.
So when he was in a good place, was he telling you, I love you and I'm sorry and we'll work
He
through?
was. Yeah, he was apologising for everything from the previous times and trying to work it out. But then we'd have discussion as it progressed. We'd have discussions where I said, "This is just not working out. We could be really good friends, even though I was just trying to find an exit there. All I was thinking was I need to get him to be convinced that this is over." And we would have these long conversations, and then the next morning he'd be like, "No, no, we need to work it out. I need to work it out." And we just kept going in these cycles. And every time there was something then that happened, it was getting worse. And I lived with a bag in my boot of my car, which I can't believe I had. Looking back, I think, was I mad? I had like 3 or 4 outfits for the boys, 3 or 4 outfits for me, and then about our passports. So I knew in an emergency situation, all I needed was my laptop, and I was fine, you know. And I lived like that for about 8 months. I don't know, like I look back and think, why didn't I just go? Like, why was I?
Well, like you said, you loved him and you thought you could help him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
What did
different things happened, and I then started calling the police, and because I'd read something about locking yourself in a bathroom and ringing the police. And when I was on the phone to the police on the first time, he came in the room and he said, "Who are you on the phone to?" I went, "Your sister." And so the police could hear all of this, and it made the police get there quicker because they could hear him. And he slapped the phone out of my hand. What are
Right.
you involving her for? And then the phone was on the floor and the police on the other end, do you know what I mean? And I hadn't even given any of my details, and they were tracing my number and
Mm.
came to the house. So they had it all on recording, which was in some respects good. But
Mhm.
at the time I was really stressed out, thinking, oh my God, like he's going to go mental if he knows it. I was dreading it all, like, how's he going to react with the police, you know?
Mm.
Um,
So that was the
so that,
first time you said.
say that again.
So that was the first time that you called the police and decided to get out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it
But
happened more times after that.
yeah, yeah. And then there was this cycle of things happening, you know, please call out. My light bulb moment was when Jacob, who was only 8 at the time, there was a whole big drama happening where he'd kicked or slapped with his hand a plate that I was clearing the table. I having had, like, I think it was a Sunday after Sunday dinner, and he just was having this argument, and then just like this plate smashed on the floor. And when that kind of happened, what I would do is get the boys and say, "Well, we'll go to the park." They'd just be like, "Let's get out of the house." And sometimes I would go to his sisters, because his sister was really supporting me with it all, which was good. Um, and Jacob came running down the stairs with this, those really, really bouncy balls, those little tiny ones
Mm.
and he bounced it off the back of his dad's head. And it was, and he ran upstairs and he dragged his legs down the stairs. And it was that was I thought, one, my son was trying to protect me, and he's only 8. And what am I teaching these 2 boys, So it was at that point that I just was like, this has to accelerate now. I have to get out. And so it wasn't long after that I left. But obviously I had to sell a house and get out and all that kind of stuff.
So was Jake's the youngest, is he?
He's the oldest.
He's the eldest. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
8 years you went through this. Did you have kids straight away once you got married?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we've been together like 5 or 6 years before then. So
And
yeah.
fine for those 5 or 6 years.
That's the thing. The first 5, he was always a very loud character, but there was never any, you know, it was after we had children, interestingly. And I hear other people talk about this, that sometimes their relationship, not necessarily domestic abuse, but their relationship goes wrong sometimes after having kids, because I think men sometimes are big kids themselves, and they become less our child becomes the priority, doesn't it? Or nurturing our child, especially when they're little.
They're not getting all the
Um,
attention, so
they're
they
not getting all that attention, yeah. So I've analysed everything from, because everything used to get manipulated, so everything was my fault
yeah.
as well with it. Um, and then you start at the beginning, you start thinking, oh yeah, maybe it because I was the breadwinner. And so I was the independent person. I was the strong character. So I that's why it took me a long time to be. I was in denial, like, this can't be happening to me. It doesn't, I'm a really strong. How could it happen to me?
Yeah.
So I was just like always going through a stressful period
You
rather
see
than,
when you see on the TV, you always think, oh, it's a weak lady who
yeah, you think it's a weak character. You just
stereotype
get, yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
yeah. It can be
Whereas and even I had to complain to the police at one point, because this was after I'd left. Even the police used to come to my house and go, "Oh, this is nice," like as though they weren't expecting it, and that it was okay.
drug addicts or something,
Yeah,
in the house.
and I was like, I don't like how you do that, because it's making me feel like I'm not as important. Like it's okay for me, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When actually, because then it went into a lot of stalking and harassment. I used to just sit outside my house, and I had like 36 court hearings. I had to get a restraining order. He then got a criminal conviction for harassment, which is really difficult to get. He appealed, and I had to go through another 4-day hearing to be then, at the end of it, he was still he was convicted, I think, of 6 counts of harassment. all these different evidence I had. And I think he got dropped to 5 counts, which he saw as some kind of victory. And they extended my restraining order. My restraining order was like for 2 years, and they extended it to 5. And that just spoke volumes to me at the time, because I was like, if you've extended my restraining order, you obviously think he's a nutter, you know. And then I had all the hearings with the children as well, because the school were concerned with different things. And with he was like, slapping them basically. I don't think it wasn't like he was beating them. He was always a bit heavy-handed with them, and they were telling people at school there was a referral and this and that and the other, so he had it. We had all of this legal battle with the kids, and then he hasn't seen them since 2018. But Jacob's recently reached out to him, because I've never badmouthed him, and I've always felt like they need to have a relationship with their dad, even if it's not. They need to know who he is. Do you know what I mean? Even if, because Jacob
They
says
make
to
their
me,
own choice, can't they?
yeah,
Whether
it's
they want a relationship with him or not.
exactly, because it's a hole in their heart, isn't it? Just like having one parent, and So Jacob's recently reached out to him and me, sort of with him, but is trying to rebuild that relationship. But what's quite nice is he shares a lot of things. I just listen. I don't really make that much comment, because I don't want to have a bias, because I'm a bit like, he's a bloody nutter. But he'll just like offload on me, and I'll go, okay. But I always try and come with something positive, because as a child, you don't want one of your parents being slagged off. I also remember as a child myself, my dad went into business with one of his friends, and it didn't work out. And me and the children, all the children were friends. And afterwards, I remember hanging out at their house with my friend, and he used to slag my dad off all the time, her dad. And it used to make me feel really uncomfortable. I haven't had my parents split, they're still together, but you just don't want as a child.
No, no matter
Your
what they've
parent.
done, you don't want other
No,
people. You can say
exactly.
it yourself, can't you? But you don't want to hear other
Yeah,
people slagging your family off.
exactly. So it's been a real journey. But I tell you, one of the things that I often reflect on is that when you've got the police outside your house or outside the school, in which it happened a lot, it's embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? It's humiliating. And I used to always worry about what people thought about me. I didn't realise that at the time, but having come through the other side, now I don't care. It's weird. Of course, if someone was sending me hate mail, and it bothered me, or and we get sugar daddies in our inbox, don't we, as women, all of these kind of messages. If I was getting someone persistent like that, it would bother me, of course. But generally, I know that not everybody's going to like me. As in within the online world, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine, isn't it? We get attracted to like-minded people of ourselves. Whereas I used to be very much, I was bothered what people thought about me and tried to be a bit more of a people pleaser. And I think that's the grateful thing I have here. Thank you for doing all that humiliation and embarrassment. Because this is me admitting to something which I think is not right, but I'm proud, because my children are mixed race, that I was married. And one of my biggest things about being on my own was that I don't want to be a single parent kid with mixed race children. And I know that sounds so pathetic, but it was one of my inner belief things, that I thought, I'm going to look like a trashy mum. Ridiculous.
What society is
It is, exactly. I used to be proud of that. So when he did all of that outside the house, it was embarrassing, but you get through it, don't you? Because you can't do anything about it. So I do feel like that was good for me, because I used to have to hold my head up high, leaving the house in front of other parents at the school when he was doing drama, kicking off and trying to take the kids, and the police were caught. Oh, it was just, honestly. So I think I'm so glad to know now
So
he did it.
the trauma of actually going through it, and then the trauma of the aftermath and all that, and dealing with society around you, it's like a massive trauma, really.
Yeah, I also had this whole pressure that I didn't want to go to the doctors for medication, because he was trying to say I was an unfit mum. So I had to do a lot of holistic. So I wasn't sleeping properly, and I had to do a lot of I was looking at a lot of meditations. I used to have like a bath with candles. I was doing a lot of things with proactive holistic stuff, because I didn't want to have any evidence of any anxiety or anything like that, which that was also a pressure. And I also felt like this guy is never going to leave me alone. I felt like he's not going to stop until either I die or he dies. I know that sounds, at one point I felt like, because the court hearings were going on, and it went on for over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite a long part of your life, and my work and my business was the only positive thing, really. And that's why I channeled everything into that, because I was like, I've got these children to inspire, that no matter what happens in life, you can't give up, you know. And they always say, "Oh, look at you with your girl power," they always say this to me.
So when you started thinking about, you were worried about what everyone thought, what changed your mindset then? When did you go, and how were you feeling when you were like, right, okay, I need to change my mindset about this. I need to do all those things you just said that you were doing. How did that come about? How did you realize that? How did you stop yourself from spiraling down into like depression and anxiety?
I think I've always been someone that people come to for advice. And I kept thinking, Anna, you've got to dig into your own advice here, And I was following a lot of people online, a lot of podcasts and different things with positive messages, I've always been into mindset.
Yeah.
So it was like all of these things that I'd learned over the years that probably were just on the periphery.
Yeah.
I was, like even the gratitude, I was like writing down every day 3 things. Sometimes it was that I was still breathing, that my boy, all the time it was about the boys. So I was just like, I was implementing all of these things that we do when we talk about a lot,
Yeah.
And just trying, yeah, but actually doing the work and putting it into practice, because I was literally right. I felt really at the bottom. Some days I used to drop the boys off at school and go back to bed. And then I'd be like later on, oh my God, I've got loads of work to do, and I'd stay up for hours in the evening. But I was just so low that I just wanted to pull a duvet over my head and not face the world. Then
Yeah.
other days I was upbeat and I'd go out, have a walk, get out in nature. And it was very up and down.
Yeah. You were riding the wave of dealing with the trauma.
Yeah.
Any coaching, or you just coached yourself through it, or did you have any?
I did get a counsellor actually, because the police referred me, and I was a bit like, I'm not going, a bit like I'd have to try. I'm not. There's going to be tissues in the room. It's not for me, and all that. And then my cousin, who'd gone through a rough period, she said, "Look, you really helped me. You need to go." And so I did, and she actually became a really good friend. They through the police, I had it for 2 years, which was really grateful. I didn't have to pay for it. And at the end, she said, "Look, I think we're getting to the point now where we're just sharing podcasts and books that we've read. We shouldn't really be having any more sessions." She was so lovely, but she really did help me in, because I think sometimes when you're going through whatever it is, you feel like with your nearest and dearest that you're just going on about it all the time, and that you're draining them. Whereas it's quite nice. A lot of the time, just offloading to her.
Someone to lend an ear and hear you, that's not directly connected to you, is just,
Yeah.
it's I, because it's still, it's like being a coach myself. When I coach some of my ladies and they just offload, and all I've done is listen, and they say at the end, "Oh my God, it was just so nice to just say all that out loud," because
Yeah.
they don't want to say it to their friends and family, either because they don't want to, like you said, like drain them with it, or they don't want to share the details from shame or whatever it is that they're.
Yeah, it is. And she said to me, what she really helped me with, the counsellor, is she said, all the time you're like, I'm fine, and it's about the boys and this, that, and the other. And she said, you're not fine, and it's fine to not be fine. It's fine to burst into tears, offload it. Because if you don't, she said, she'd done like 3 or 4 degrees on mental. She was very, I used to really tap into her. Like, she used to do like not experiments, but like analysing studies and all that kind of stuff, people. And she said there's, with women, especially, women take that emotional load for whether it's for the family, for their husband, they're doing things, even if they're independent, they're doing things around the home, like cooking and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. They take on more emotional load, and this has been scientifically proven. So when you then got an added stress with what you're going through, this is why, it will come out somewhere. Because I've seen it, people lose their hair. I've seen people get other conditions and stress and all this kind of stuff. And if you keep saying it's fine and not dealing with it, it's going to come out somewhere,
Yes,
And so
crisis.
that really scared me. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get this out. I'm going to get this out.
Yeah, people now are going to get psoriasis, so I need to talk about it. It's really true. I remember years ago, I think I was about 20, 21, and I was going through a really stressful period. But like you, I threw myself into work and like buried it and fine. And it was weird because from the neck down, you couldn't see anything here. From the neck down, I was covered in psoriasis.
Wow.
It's because of the stress I was going through. And I said to the doctor, but I don't feel stressed. I know I've got stuff going on, but life goes on. And he's like, well, because you're not showing the stress or acting stress,
Your
it's
body's,
manifested in a different
yeah,
way.
yeah. I used to get like a kind of a rash every court hearing, the night before the court hearing.
It's
Just
funny, isn't
suddenly come out.
it? Yeah. And cold
Or
sore,
I'd feel like that.
people get
Yeah, exactly.
stress or styes and stuff like that.
Mm,
As soon as I dealt with everything and there's removed the stress, then it just like disappeared. I didn't need any steroid
yeah,
cream or anything. It just went by itself. It's weird how that works. But yeah, that just proves that you need to offload, and why
yeah,
coaching or therapy or whatever it is you need is the best medicine, really. So you went through that, you were dealing through the trauma, you're bringing your boys up. Let's hear the happy ending. Where are you? I mean, you're a
I
fantastic
think people
businesswoman.
people used to say things to me like about revenge as well. Because on top of it, as well as dealing with all of that, I also lost. He took half my pension,
Oh, wow.
um, as well as getting a deposit of the house, which the deposit of the house was fine with because he needed somewhere, to live. I was happy with that. But he doesn't pay any child maintenance. I think there's like things building up with that, which again, to be honest, I was the breadwinner in the relationship anyway, which I was always really great. That was one of my gratitude things. There's a lot of women that go through domestic abuse that have to stay for the
Yeah.
finances. So I thought at least but I did then have, through the split, I did have financial ups and downs because it was just all firefighting. So people used to say, God, even Jacob, my son, said, God, Dad really took you to, financially, he flattened you or something. And I was like, yeah, but I said, to me, I don't want revenge or anything like that. The biggest revenge for me is success
Yeah.
in me and me being happy. And for a while, I was like, I'm just waking up in my bed without him, which is so grateful for, but I can wake up and I'm safe and there's no drama and, I can spread out in this bed sort of thing. Just the simple things I'm really being grateful for. So that's why I ploughed myself into my business, and I've always wanted to help other people. So, because originally I just did products, so I launched a range of health supplements actually for women, that was in the US, and then I sold like beauty products, like magnetic eyelashes was one, beard grooming kits for men, electric scooters, segways, bamboo products, sustainable products, health and fitness, loads of different products over the years, on Amazon, and then I started doing consultancy for like corporates. And then just before the pandemic, I started doing coaching because I was doing masterclasses for this other guy. And I thought, I'm actually running this whole program. Why don't I set up my own program? So I have lots of different courses around Etsy, TikTok Shop, Amazon, mainly Amazon, and a group program. In fact, I've got my free training coming up on the 6th to the
Or
8th. So I'll plug that if
drop the link
anybody
here.
yeah, if anybody's interested in learning a bit more about selling products on Amazon, I'll put the link below. But it is completely free. Um, and so my biggest achievement over the years was in 2020 being featured in Forbes magazine. That felt like, oh my God, I made it. And then a few weeks ago, I won Business Success Network Award as well, Business of the Year, which was the last award of the evening. So that felt really good. And Ruben, my youngest, came. He has got dyslexia and hates school, and he got up and on the stage to help me get the award. And that felt blooming brilliant, because obviously these two have been on this whole journey with me. And he got on the microphone, he went, and they said, well, what have you got to say? And he went, I'm speechless. And then he went, I feel really proud. And I was there like with a lump in my throat, because he said he was proud. I know. It just honestly, it just felt amazing having him on the stage with me, because he started selling products on Vinted this year. And it's got every week there's parcels coming from China. So he's sort of taking the steps after me. My eldest isn't. My eldest works the chip shop. He's not interested in, not interested in this thing.
I've
Anna
tried to
does.
get my two boys, because I've got a 16-year-old and my eldest is 21 next month. And I've told them about you, and I've Anna's got thoughts, and I really think you should do it. And they've kind of listened and go, maybe. So I've planted the seed.
Yeah.
My eldest.
Well, I am putting something together. It's just, I'm also looking at doing a CIC like you, because I'd like to also help women in refuges. In fact, I'm on a retreat here at the moment with Jess Crane. She was a child from abuse. Her dad was very abusive. And me and her have been brainstorming, because we'd like to do something together. And her kids came on my kid commerce days, where I did a day where I took the kids around Amazon, a warehouse, because that's really exciting for them to see all the robots. And then we sat down and looked at products, and I'd like you can do a virtual version of that with the Amazon bit. I'm putting something together right now, and I do want to help, like, the impact of knife crime and things like that with youngsters, because I do think the youngsters love this stuff of selling products once they get their teeth stuck into it. And
Exactly.
selling
And
on TikTok.
they've got all the tech.
Exactly.
Like, they're born with tech skills. So
Well, the other day, Ruben came up to me with his phone like that, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He wanted my facial recognition. I was like, "What am I doing now?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm just signing up for eBay." And then he just went off, and I was like, and he's worked it all out. You know what I mean? But I was like, "What am I?" I said, "I've already got an eBay account." He went, "Don't worry, Mum." What did you sign me up for with a facial recognition?
Don't worry, Mum.
He's going to be over 18. Like, look at me now, I'm getting all these HMRC things from eBay next. But so yeah, they know all the tech. They have some really good product ideas and stuff like that. They don't teach this stuff at school, so I'm really passionate about that. That's a project that I'm working on. And also then the women stuff is, I think if someone's in a refuge, it's very easy for them to go back into that relationship, especially if finances are there. And what we tend to do, and I'm not saying this is bad, but it's usually, oh, go and do a course, go and do a degree, or go and educate yourself. It's going to take ages, and then get a part-time job. If you've got children and you're having all of this going on, you could do Amazon, or even become a VA or a social media manager, couldn't you? Around your children, doing stuff in the evening, or yeah. So what I'm looking at is creating a course that's about making your first £500, because again, in the online space we're talking about 6 figures, 7 figures all the time, aren't we? It's not realistic. It's like, if you can make your first £500, great. Then
more doable, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear all these figures and you're like, oh, well, that's obviously not for me. I'm not going to do that. And
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so those are like my passion projects, because now I want to kind of move into that next era of helping more people, and having teenagers myself. I think that's a good group of, I think they just love this kind of business, and it you can tell by me talking about it. It's just like, it fills my heart with joy of like helping those two groups of people, really.
I love
so
it. I'll be watching closely and still like drip feeding.
Yeah.
You must. I send them podcasts, because I listen to different podcasts of online businesses and this and
that. It's good that.
Because we've got a family WhatsApp chat.
Yeah.
One in and I go, this is a good one to listen to, boys, because they won't listen to me. So I
Yeah.
think the podcast is like, see, it's not just me saying it, professionals say it as well. Professionals.
Yeah, exactly. I do
Brilliant.
a similar thing. I think we've got to keep doing that as mums, haven't we? But it does rub off. Things do rub off. Like there was one day I just had a bit of a stressful day, and Jacob was like coaching me. And it was all my advice. And afterwards, I felt really proud. I was like, I love how he's like coming out with all my one-liners. So yeah,
Yeah. My youngest makes me laugh. He's going through a fitness stage now where he's like going to the gym and he's eating healthy and then he tries to tell me what to eat that's healthy and got lots of protein in. I'm like, I've been telling you that for years and now you're telling me.
Yeah, this is what they do.
Like it's your idea.
I
Anyway,
know. Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'd love. Oh, we've got quite a few ladies watching here.
I was going to say one thing, like if you, because I do think domestic abuse can creep up on you. Like I was in denial, and it's different than having an argument. We all have arguments in our relationship, but I just wanted to say, like, if you ever feel like you could possibly be in a situation,
And
because
coercive abuse as well,
yeah,
where it's not
exactly.
violent is just as bad, isn't it?
Well, it's work. I think the mental part of it, because one of the things that he used to say to me all the time is that it was just you wait. There's going to be a baby popping up around the corner. He used to keep saying that, and this baby never happened. But I then stayed because it was like humiliating me. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things where, oh, you should hear what they're saying about you. He used to say to me, like some of his friends, and it's not me, it's what they're saying. And I believed all of that.
Chipping away
Yeah,
at your
yeah,
self-belief and who you are
exactly.
as a person. So what would
Um,
be your top 3 tips for
I would
anyone?
just, I would just say, obviously, if there's a violent situation, you remember the thing of locking yourself in a bathroom and just calling 999 until they get there. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's really important to share it with someone. We feel embarrassed and we feel like it's a taboo topic, but it's important that there must be one person that you can share it with, because once you do share it, you then will get some support. And it might not be, there's a lot of charity organisations, there's Women's Aid and things like that you can reach out to. But I think just sharing it with a friend, because that's what I did. And then that one friend was the one that kept checking on me and turning up at my house when I wasn't responding to things as well,
Right. Yeah.
So
Important.
it's just about, and also I think because you go into the whole divorce thing is tricky enough, isn't it? Because that makes you feel like failures. All these things that we tell ourselves.
Mm.
I had a song, and it sounds so cheesy. And when it comes on now, I just get shivers. And it is a cheesy song to brace yourself. But Whitney Houston, Step by Step. It's like now, if I hear I used to play that on repeat. And it was all about step by step, you'll get to your destination. You know what I mean? You will get to your destination. And I did get to my destination. So now when I hear it, I think, God, I was so stuck. I just kept playing it. So I think there is always a song that keeps you going, isn't there?
Yeah.
And just know that you will get through the other side, which I know sounds a bit cheesy, but you've got to have that faith, because if you don't have that faith,
That
yeah.
belief in yourself, and you, like you say, be grateful for small things.
Exactly.
Things will get bigger.
And I've just realised now that life is, there's no life that's perfect, is there? There's
No.
challenges all about, and I know there's going to be a loads more before I leave this earth. I've got my parents getting older now. We know that the only two things are definite is death and change, isn't there? Those are the only things we can guarantee that we can have in our life. So, it's expecting that life isn't perfect, I think. And it's like with the whole menopause, I have a lot of friends who are going through menopause symptoms a lot worse than me. I have had like fatigue and, feeling like I can't remember things.
Yeah,
leave my
brain
mind
rot.
just face black. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm
But
doing my 5 days training. So it's like the little things that you can do can make quite a big difference. And then you,
yeah,
so
the
you,
incremental.
yeah, you make one change. Once that's done, you don't have to like, because it can be overwhelming. We say, well, do this, do that,
Yeah.
do that. And you're like, oh, and then you do nothing. So it's stacking up those habits to then makes you feel
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
once you've figured out how to get through a night's sleep, then you can focus on what you're putting on your plates, because
Yeah.
you're
You can't
drained.
do it all at once.
No,
Yeah.
you're not going to think about what healthy food you're going to eat when you all you want to do is sleep because you're knackered because you haven't slept.
Yeah.
Changing
Yeah.
that vicious spiral down to a slow spiral up. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I like that.
yeah.
Brilliant.
I really appreciate you, especially while you're on a retreat as well, finding a
Yeah,
space.
no worries.
Oh, that's brilliant. And drop your link below.
I will. I'll put the link in the chat. And yeah, my inbox is always open for any women that are going through anything that's
That's
worrying them. So anything like that, you can always reach out to me. But yeah, thanks for inviting me in the group. And yeah.
and my
Um,
first live podcast because I normally
yeah, I love it.
yeah, first live podcast.
Brilliant. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you
Everybody
too.
that's watching. All right.
And enjoy.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Anna.
See
Take
you
care.
later.
Lots
Bye.
of love.
Bye.
Bye.